company is North Bay Resources. The person is CEO Jared Lazerson, and the project we're discussing today is the Fran Gold Project in British Columbia. So we need to start with this news, Jared. Very exciting high-grade results in assays from the Fran Gold Project. Can you tell us about these results and tell us where they're coming from?
Sure. So this discovery was made in a broader deposit at Fran Gold, which is about 40 million tons disseminated gold and high-grade veins. There's one main section is really the feeder zone. We knew about this from trench sampling that had been done historically. We'd sampled a little bit around that area in the last year or so, but we had a good hit right between trench B and C, which had both graded over an ounce and consistently a half ounce. So we got a hit in an outcrop of a half ounce of gold per ton, and then we went back in there. So that was June. We went back in there in July, opened it up, and started packing ore, basically. We went back in there in September, finished packing a truckload of ore for really a test run, an initial run, and just got our assays back. It worked out that basically from surface, where we got the initial half ounce, we got a half ounce, but then very quickly, as we got into the deposit, and I don't mean significant depth, but really once we got into the deposit proper, about a meter depth, maybe a little less, we began to see 2 ounce material, which was the high end of what had been found in the trenches historically. And then as we got further into it, we now have hit 3 ounce material. Actually, we had an overrun on one assay at 100 grams per ton cutoff. So that's 2.92 ounces per ton. I think that'll come in probably around 3, but we just don't know. But 3 of 4 assays were north of 2 ounces. That represents basically every other bag and kind of the progress in the deposit. So it started a half ounce, and then it's gotten all the way to 3 ounces. The bags, when I refer to bags, it's really super sacks, multi-ton super sacks that have now been packed, and now been shipped and loaded, and are on the road to our Bishop Gold mill. So that's between 15 and 20 tons that is in transit.
So before we get into those next steps, will you please remind us of how you've gotten to this stage of development with the Fran Gold Project and strategically how you're approaching this property?
Sure. Well, Fran Gold is a large, well-known deposit. We have reanalyzed the data, which was kind of one of the first steps we took. There's been 104 holes in 55,000 feet of drilling, 18,000 meters. We've identified a large, about 50 million tons, low-grade deposit, approximately 500,000 ounces contained metal. That's non-43-101, but again, there's so much data. We have reasonable confidence in that resource estimate. That's an internal one. And then there's this high-grade zone. Because we own the 100-ton per day mill, the Bishop Gold mill, we have just begun small development and test mining of that zone. We're now permitting as a result of this, what we call a very significant discovery. And it kind of fits in with the wider disseminated gold. It's really right at the center of it. It's where a cross fault is. Geologically, we understand this area fairly well. It's been heavily drilled and trenched. So we're now opening it up at surface, and we're now permitting to be able to start development in earnest, and really as feedstock for for a 100-ton per day mill. The grade is shockingly high. We'll see at the mill how it holds and how the dilution is. We'll have that information later this month, meaning November. But things are really, really progressing very nicely. It's very much step by step. We know how this goes, but all the pieces are in place. We've run this ore from this deposit before at the mill, produced some gold with lower grade material. So we don't see any major issues. Everything's working well. Recovery should be good. But again, step by step, but very exciting time. And I've been in this business a very long time. It's all I've really ever known. And I've never seen assays like this or been a part of this. When you're getting to 3 ounces per ton, plus 100 grams per ton, it's a very, very unique situation. And clearly there's a lot more material at surface right there for immediate production.
Oh, that's very exciting statements there. You did mention, Jared, that there is a truck currently making its way from the Fran project down the west coast to your Bishop gold mill in California. Can you give us some updates on how Bishop is going and how the cash flow situation is sweetening because of it?
Sure. Truck left the mine site late last week. In transit right now. Uh, the amount of ore physically is relatively nominal. Like I said, the mill is 100 tons per day. We'll get through that ore relatively quickly. But the results could be, I mean, we'll see. I'd rather not speculate on what the final dilution and recovery is, but generally we assume about 80% dilution and 80% recovery. So if you take that down to 64%, even 1 ounce rock, right, per ton rock is $4,000 a ton. 2 ounces, you're at eight. I mean, this rock is showing basically $10,000 a ton. So, at 15 tons, that's 150,000, 60% of that, call it 100,000. I'd rather not speculate whether, a shipment is, $100,000 a load, but the cash flow could be significant at this grade. And I think the main thing is that regardless, the grade will be substantial. So we're looking at very significant profitability on very, very small tonnage. But again, step by step. But this could be the turn of the tide even earlier than we thought. We thought we'd have to ship significantly greater tonnage to get into more serious dollars here. But the assays don't lie, as we say in the mining business. So we will see.
So, taking things step by step, tell us specifically what are those next steps?
I think it's just do this processing, get the concentrate to the refinery, get final numbers, and then repeat before we get into deep snow here. A few more loads. Even in winter, we can keep going, but the next focus will be to really ramp this up since it's clear there's very significant tonnage. We didn't know when this started in June. We knew that there'd be assays in the trenches, but the outcrop itself was quite small. And now there's some real teeth to it. It's open at length. We know it exists basically between the trenches, which are over 60 meters separated. And then there's additional trenches, which could stretch this to easily to 100 meters or more. The entire deposit is 1,500 meters. It doesn't extend on surface that much, but I think we're well over 100 meters. Width, it appears open, but really it's depth that is the interesting part. So permitting really is the next phase, and then we'd look to springtime. Permits are moving quite quickly. Government seems to really be behind mining right now. It's a nice change, but the last 6 months, government has been very aggressive on really any industrial output. In British Columbia, mining is the main one. So we don't see any issues with permitting. And again, we kind of have to wait till snow, but clears, although since we know where it is, we don't really need eyes on it to begin to open it up. So at some point in the spring, we looked for to begin to extract significant tonnage.
Well, Jared, thank you for sharing those golden updates, and we look forward to speaking again soon.
Great. Thank you.